Bluetooth has been getting better and better, so how does Soundcore's under $100 Space One sound? Well, let's talk about it. Hey, I'm DMS, you're watching the Headphone Show presented by Headphones.com, and I've got a quick deal to make with you. If you care a lot about sound quality, if you want to see more videos like the one you're about to watch, if you find it helpful, subscribe by the end of this video. If you're already subscribed, welcome back. This is the Soundcore Space One. It's a wireless active noise canceling sub $100 headphone. Soundcore is an Anchor company, and they actually have a decent reputation for making things that are value oriented with pretty good active noise canceling for the price. They also have a history of focusing pretty well on comfort, though outside of their wireless IEM, sound quality has never really been their strong suit. I've been hearing people say lately that this specific headphone, the Space One, is a big improvement in Soundcore's overall sound quality. And we'll get to that in just a minute, but first let's talk about building comfort. So the first thing you'll notice, these pads are not that big, but there actually is a decent amount of depth to them. In the left ear, you can see a small sensor that will help the headphone determine when it is on a human head. There's a pretty fair bit of swivel and tilt. The headphones can lay flat or fold in. The adjustment mechanism is good enough, and there's actually a pretty fair bit of padding on top. Overall, they're actually really comfortable. I can wear these for a fair amount of time, and honestly, I could see these being really good for airplane travel. There's our usual suspects of input controls with volume up and down, a play pause button, power button, which also doubles as your button to start the Bluetooth pairing process, and a noise canceling button. You can toggle noise canceling on or off, or use transparency mode. We also have a 3.5mm input and a USB Type-C on the bottom here. It's also worth noting though that these sides are touch sensitive. You can reach up and touch and hold one ear to activate a mode, which you have to enable in settings in their app, by the way, so that you can hear other people around you. Someone starts talking, you put your hand up over your ear, music pauses, and it enables transparency so you can have a conversation. That's pretty cool, that's useful, and another thing that would make these pretty decent for air travel. Overall, for a sub $100 price point, I'm pretty pleased with the build and comfort of these headphones, the comfort especially. But what I really care about is the sound quality, so let's talk about subjective sound first and then objective sound second. Now, subjectively, these are a roller coaster. They have better detail than I've experienced in previous Soundcore related products, better soundstage as well, and better imaging at the cost of what is absolutely horrid timbre. Vocal clarity is very good, but vocal timbre is bad. It's not just not good, it's straight up bad. Vocals have a habit of sounding both boomy on the low end but extremely thin on the high end at the same time, almost as if the entire mid-range has been sucked out. And on top of that, vocals have a tendency to be sibilant, harsh, and unpleasant. Despite having good vocal clarity, I think that it's just not worth the trade-off. But it does not stop there. My air conditioning just turned off. It's getting a little bit warm in here. The Soundcore Space One are tuned so incredibly unpleasantly that I struggled to find a redeeming use case in which I actually enjoyed listening to these. They're fine for things like phone calls. They're fine for active noise canceling if you want a quiet environment, but as far as sound quality is concerned, it seems like it was not only beyond an afterthought, it seems as though it was intentionally done in a way that is as poor as humanly possible. That may sound like an exaggeration, but it is actually not, and when we get to the objective section where I show you measurements of these, you'll probably laugh. This headphone does have multiple EQ profiles available. However, the tuning of this headphone is so messed up that you cannot save it with the built-in EQ app. You need to use an external equalizer like EQ APO that has far more in-depth controls to get close to saving this thing. What's crazy to me is that clearly Soundcore cares a lot about build, comfort, and features. So how do they completely ignore sound quality? I mean, this is a company owned by Anchor. They have lots of resources. They can afford a measurement rig. So why would they not do that? Why would it be something that is completely thrown to the side? There's absolutely no excuse for it, and I don't want headphones to all measure perfectly, but I want them to at least sound good. Let's talk about objective sound and frequency response, and then after that we'll talk about conclusions. Okay, I've got the frequency response graph pulled up here so you guys can see it. That is an absolute mountain of bass. It's not just a little bit of bass. It is a mountain, the tallest mountain. It extends into a very bloated region of the mid-range. And in comparison to that, the middle of the mid-range is recessed. It would normally already sound messed up if the rest of this headphone measured good, but because the bass is so far elevated, that dip, well, it sounds 3 times as deep. 5 decibels is already no small dip, but a 5 decibel dip next to a 15 decibel bass shelf is... It is a special level of stupidity. Vocal clarity is probably good because we have a lot of emphasis in the upper part of the vocal range. 1 kilohertz to 1.6 kilohertz. Right next to that big dip goes about 5 decibels above our bass line. So roughly a 10 decibel gap between the vocal range and the mids. And the low parts of vocals are still going to be produced by that bloated part of the low mids, which is why vocals sound really clear but really sucked out, boomy, and thin all at the same time. As we move through the ear gain, around 3 kilohertz should be the area that's the most elevated, and it is definitely not. Instead, we see elevations around 4 and 6 kilohertz, which, I mean, if you just want to pick frequencies that people usually find harsh and elevate them, then great, you've done exactly that. Do we really need to break down this whole frequency response? It is definitely a show. No one can look at this and tell me that Soundcore had any remote intentions of having respectable sound quality for this headphone. Like, come on. I mean, maybe I got a unit that's just incredibly broken, but I highly doubt that, as the noise canceling performance and the transparency mode, the rest of the software all functions properly. The different EQ profiles do change how it responds, but none of them actually fix its major faults. This is a consumer smash and grab, and it's a case of a headphone that, once again, consumers will have low enough standards they'll be willing to accept because it is cheap and or comfortable. Is it worth $100? Absolutely not, unless you plan to not use it for listening to music at all. If you plan to use this strictly as a device for keeping a quiet space with noise canceling, or something that's comfortable on an airplane while you sleep, absolutely. If you ever plan to use your headphones as, well, a headphone, you're looking in the wrong place. This is not the headphone for you, or really for anyone, honestly. Maybe there's somebody out there who had their hearing damaged in a really crazy accident, and their hearing happens to be the inverse of this thing's messed up tuning. Then it might be a good headphone for you. The odds of that are very unlikely. Anyway, on that incredible disappointment, I think we should wrap up this video. If you are as disappointed in this headphone as I am, leave a comment down below. And like the video if you liked it. If you want to get active in the community, check out the forum or Discord, both available at the link in the video description. If you want to see some other actually really good and affordable wireless headphones, we have plenty more on the channel you can check out. And as always, don't forget to stick around, subscribe for more videos like this in the future. Till next one, guys. Peace.